map makes the Rockies look like a zipper. Canada at the top, New Mexico at the bottom. Very tidy, very suspicious. Because mountains usually keep receipts. These do not. They rise far inland, no neat ocean cliff beside them. Just plains, cattle, and a geological shrug. To explain that, you need three objects: a rug, a dinner plate, and the world's slowest carving knife. The first object is the map. The map is lying politely. The Rockies are not one clean wall. They are a chain of ranges. Some are old, some are younger. Some were lifted like trap doors. Some were carved after the fact. The second object is buried. It is the Farallon Plate, an ocean plate that is mostly gone now. About 160 million years ago, it started diving. It slid under North America. Normal plate tectonic behavior, very official, very oceanic. Then the plate did the weird thing. Instead of diving steeply, it flattened. Not everywhere in one perfect sheet. Geology hates clean sentences, but shallow enough to matter. Imagine a dinner plate under a rug. Push it under the edge. The rug wrinkles far from your hand. That is the inland problem. The push was not at the mountains. The push traveled under the continent. Some models let that slab scrape about 4,500 kilometers inland, which is a rude commute for a rock. Around 80 to 70 million years ago, the Laramide mountain building began. The continent started taking notes. Deep old blocks moved upward. Faults tilted. Basins sagged. The surface buckled. And the map got dramatic. In a normal subduction story, the coastline hogs the drama. Volcanoes line up near the edge. The interior gets to be boring. That was not the story. The shallow slab moved the argument inland. Colorado got involved. Wyoming got involved. New Mexico got involved. The coastline was no longer the only suspect. The crime scene expanded under the rug. This is why the Rockies feel misplaced. They are not parked on the coast. They are a long inland injury, a slow pressure bruise. Here is the part maps hide. The Rockies are a family reunion. The Canadian Rockies have their own older story. The Southern Rockies have their own messy schedule. The Wind River Range did not ask Colorado for permission. The Front Range did not file paperwork with New Mexico. The range on the map is a committee. The committee has bad chairs. Some chairs lift. Some chairs sink. Some chairs become basins full of future sediment. The old basement rocks come up too. In Rocky Mountain National Park, some rocks are about 1.8 billion years old. The mountains are younger than their bones. That detail should bother you. A mountain can be young on the outside and ancient in the middle. Like a teenager wearing a museum. The shove made old crust blocks rise. They rose along steep faults. One side went up. The neighbor went down. A basin opened beside a mountain. Then the basin became a junk drawer. Sand poured in. Mud poured in. Rivers dragged gravel off the new high places. The mountains made their own paperwork. Receipts everywhere. Finally, that is the first payoff. The receipts are in the basins. Not on the mountain zipper, but in the low places beside it. Those low places are useful. They catch the mess that mountains drop. Broken sand, rounded gravel, mud from rivers that change their minds. Layers stack up like a messy archive. The high places shout. The basins keep the files. That is why geologists stare at basins. The boring bowl remembers the fight. Then the story gets unfair. Building mountains is only half the job. Keeping them visible is harder. Weather starts eating immediately. Rain takes bites. Rivers carry crumbs. Frost cracks edges. Gravity files complaints. The Rockies start shrinking while they are still rising. Very relatable. Then much later, ice arrives. Not a polite dusting, a moving blue bulldozer. Glaciers slide down old river valleys. They pick up rocks. The rocks become sandpaper. V-shaped valleys become U-shaped bowls. Cirques scoop amphitheaters into the peaks. Moraines dump rubble at the exits. Lakes sit in the leftover dents. This is why the postcard looks clean. Ice edited the rough draft. The glaciers did not make the whole mountain range. They changed the costume. Sharp ridges, wide bowls, cold blue shadows, tourist brochure behavior. The ice chapter came very late, late enough that the main uplift had already done its big work, but early enough to redesign the view. In high valleys, snow survived summer. Snow became fern. Fern became ice. Ice began to flow. It did not need to hurry. It had gravity and a terrible attitude. Before the mountains, seas came and went. Sediments stacked like blankets. Then the slab shove crumpled the blankets. But the deepest blocks were stubborn. They rose as basement chord uplifts, which is a fancy way to say old hard stuff punched through the pile. The Rockies are not a wedding cake. They are a drawer jammed open. This is the detail I keep coming back to. The surface is young trouble. The interior is ancient furniture, and the floor underneath is still moving. The third object is the zipper. On a map, it looks continuous. On the ground, it breaks into neighborhoods, ranges, parks, basins, passes, high plains. The line is useful. The line is also lazy. That is why the full story needs two clocks. One clock measures lifting. The other measures carving. They do not tick together. Some ranges rose early. Some rose late. Some were buried in their own debris. Some were exposed again. If that sounds messy, good. The earth does not run a spreadsheet. It runs a garage sale. One table is plate pressure. One table is uplift. One table is erosion. One table is ice. Every table has missing parts. Geologists still argue the exact mechanics. That is normal. Rocks do not leave meeting minutes. They leave tilted layers, broken faults, odd basins, and old minerals in strange places. So when someone says the Rockies formed 70 million years ago, treat that as a headline, not a receipt. The pressure started earlier. The main uplift came in pulses. Erosion kept editing. Ice arrived near the end. Rivers still work today. The modern Rockies are a committee report, written by a vanished ocean, stamped by faults, shredded by rivers, highlighted by glaciers, and simplified by maps. Which brings us back to the zipper. It was never a zipper. It was a scar, then a sculpture, then a postcard. The ocean plate is mostly gone. The rug is still wrinkled. The cattle are still confused, and the map still looks too tidy. That is the trick. The Rockies are not just mountains. They are bad table manners preserved in stone.